Well, we're here today launching Sinn Féin's campaign against the Austerity Treaty and our detailed analysis of that. Austerity is not working. Our core arguments are this: austerity is failing the people of this state and failing the people of the European Union as a whole, and we need to oppose austerity. This treaty would see an extra $6 billion in austerity measures, tax increases on low and middle income families and cuts to frontline services imposed of the people of this state post-2015. It would also give significant power to the European Commission and the European Court of Justice to police these austerity measures and to fine this state if it doesn't comply. Sinn Féin is against this treaty because it imposes greater austerity and sees transfer of powers and sovereignty away from democratically elected institutions in this state to the European Union, the European Commission and the European Court of Justice. Defend sovereignty, oppose austerity, oppose this treaty on the 31st of May.
So, it's a very, very good thing in Sinn Féin's view that the people are going to have their say on May 31st. That's not what the government wanted. So the people have a choice, and that's a very good thing. And the choice is between austerity and economic stimulus and growth. The choice is between us handing over powers to unaccountable bureaucrats and officials in the European Commission and in the European Court of Justice and allowing them to run this state and to police fiscal as well as monetary matters. Or we can vote no to this and assert the right of citizens to elect or sack our own governments and for citizens to have democratic authority over those who govern us. This government is a government of austerity, and it's quite clear that austerity doesn't work. We've had 6 austerity budgets over the last 4 years. The deficit has grown, it hasn't reduced. 500,000 citizens are unemployed. Working people and lower and middle income families are bearing the brunt of the government's decisions. Sinn Féin isn't naive about the choices facing the people of this state or of the European Union. We know the deficit has to be reduced. We've actually brought forward a whole series of costed, practical, progressive proposals which are socially equitable to achieve this. And there are 3 main elements, 3 main planks to our strategy and to our platform to regenerate the economy and to reduce the deficit and to grow the economy. And these are fair and progressive taxation, cutting waste, and the jobs stimulus package. And that's key in our view. You can't cut your way out of recession. You need to stimulate the economy by bringing forward a jobs package. This government, as I've said, is for austerity. It's for this treaty. And there's no job stimulus in the government strategy, and there's no job stimulus package with this treaty. Austerity doesn't work. This austerity treaty, this instability treaty, don't work and won't work. So if you're against austerity, there's a choice. If you're for growth and jobs, vote no. Fine Gael and Labour and Fianna Fáil claim, and I mean this is something we just need to get a bit of a focus on. They claim that if the citizens don't sign up for this austerity treaty, that there will not be access to emergency funding. This is complete and utter rubbish. The simple fact is that this is not a done deal. For the European Stability Mechanism to come into law, it has to be given a legal basis in the EU treaties. That's by an amendment to Article 136. And all 27 member states, including this one, have to sign up to that. So it's entirely in the hands of Enda Kenny, our Taoiseach, and Eamon Gilmore, our Taoiseach, to decide on whether that particular clause goes forward. They have to decide whether they will sign up for something which would jeopardise access to emergency funding if the state needs it. Now, does anybody seriously imagine that any responsible government would sign up for something which would deny citizens our right, if it came about, to get extra funding? We also need to factor in and to ask the government the question, how are they going to pay for this? Because they've already signed up to 8 billion in cuts over the next 3 years under the Troika deal, and this treaty will add another 6 billion in terms of its cost to citizens here. So how are the government going to pay for that?
As has been said, on the 31st of May, the Irish people will be asked to make a very important choice, not just in the here and now, but indeed for future generations. And we know that austerity has not worked. Anybody who finds themselves unemployed, anybody who has been on the receiving end of the whole raft of cutbacks that governments have introduced know that full well. We know that the domestic economy is on the floor, and we also know, and the consensus has built around the fact that what Ireland needs, and indeed what the European Union needs, is growth. The alternative to austerity is growth. This treaty invites the people to sign up on an ongoing basis to a package of cutbacks and austerity that will not alone damage the economy, but damage society, damage communities and families. As Gerry has already said, there's already a commitment to slash 8.6 billion euro over the next 3 years to meet the 3% target as agreed with the Troika. We know that the new structural deficit ceiling of 0.5% will cost the Irish people, will cost the people of this state. We know that, for instance, in 2015 it's projected that we'll have a structural deficit of 3.7%. We know that, therefore, to move that back and to meet the 0.5% target, that we are talking about cuts in the region of 6 billion euro and perhaps more. Now that has to come from somewhere. The government says that it's keen on giving public clear, accurate and impartial information. The government need to tell people what their estimate is of what this treaty will cost, and more importantly, they need to tell the people where they're going to find the additional 6 billion euro. The treaty also compels member states with debt to GDP ratios above 60% to progressively reduce that at the rate of 1/20th from 2018 onwards. What does that mean in real terms? It means more cutbacks and more hardship for people. So the treaty as a whole places new limits in terms of government spending. It gives new and additional powers to the European Commission and the European Court of Justice to police these arrangements, and it puts the state in a situation where not alone would the choices for government be limited, but if they were to break any of these rules, they could find themselves brought before the courts and fined, I may say, very mightily. We reckon that on the basis of 2011 figures, if the state were to be fined in accordance with the treaty, it would be somewhere in the region of 180 million euros. That's more than the government anticipate that they are aimed to bring in through the household charge. So this treaty and this debate isn't a theoretical argument between economists, or for that matter between politicians. This debate and this choice for people is whether or not they wish to opt for ongoing austerity and cutbacks, or for stimulus, for growth, and for a chance for all of us, and for in particular the young people of this country, to have a life, to have a job and to have a future here.
Okay, my name is Jonas Sjöstedt. I'm the party leader of the Swedish Left Party. I'm here in Dublin to attend a hearing about the upcoming referendum on the fiscal compact or the Austerity Treaty. I really hope the Irish will vote no. It would be good not only for Ireland but for the whole of Europe, because the policy that is enforced through this treaty is one of austerity and one of recession. It will, I think, make the economic problems around Europe more difficult and deeper, and it will prevent us from finding true solutions with investments and getting jobs and get things going in the economy. The main problem with the treaty is that it doesn't address the cause of the euro crisis. The cause of the euro crisis is the way the euro functions in itself and the big losses made in the banking sector. But this put all the pressure on common people through privatization, and through cuts in the welfare sector. And that is not good for people, and it's not good for the economy. We need another policy. This policy is already failing around Europe. So I really hope that the Irish will vote no. And there's also a lot of criticism against this treaty in countries like France and the Netherlands and other places in Europe. And an Irish no vote would inspire other people to find other solutions and a better policy around the EU.